Hi there, Robin here from Expert On. Today we're going to be answering your questions. So these are questions and comments that people put on our YouTube channel, and sometimes they're easy to answer and just type back, and sometimes other people help out. But I've decided that I'm probably going to start doing this a little bit more often, which is a video to cover some of those questions. So here we go. First question I've got here is from Often Lucid. Yes, that's what it says here. Sorry, I have to be able to see the screen at the same time. So I've got Often Lucid, and his question has to do with the ULTRAZONE ZMX2600. Now, mine is on display, being used for the actual speakers that we have running in the showroom, so I'm going to just hold the box here. And basically, he wants to make sure that he's hooking it up properly. Currently, he's got some preamp source, and then he's got this set up in the middle, and then it goes to his power amplifiers and then to his speakers. And yes, that is the right order. Whatever your source is, be it a mixer, which is most probably what you're going to have, big or small, XLR out to that, into this. On the back of this, it can handle two sources. So that's two places you're going to be taking music from. Could be, let's say, XLRs that are running off to a stage to a mixer there, and then maybe some XLRs that are running to a small mixer behind the bar or something like that, which allows you to control, everyday play. Input 1, input 2, those are the options. Now, if you have speakers set up in different areas, passive or powered, you're probably going to want to press the button in the front that says mono. So this way the people that are listening to a speaker that's designated as left or right hear the exact same thing, because we're not in our living room here. We're not like trying to really pick up that audio sound. What we want is full sound everywhere. So I call it mixed stereo. Mixed stereo everywhere. Somebody sitting on the left side of a bar hears everything that somebody sitting on the right side of the bar does, and vice versa. So that's how you go. So also there's a reference about number of wires. XLR cables are going to have what they call a noise canceling cable in it. So if you're using anything with XLR or balanced connection, that's what the third wire is for. Go ahead. When it comes, that'll come out of the actual unit here and into that amplifier, and then from that amplifier it will just be two wires out to each individual speaker that you're hooking up for those amplifiers. So there we go. Hopefully that helps you out with that one. And these are real practical. I mean, you go to any music shop, they're going to be running it. If you have a bar or restaurant with a lot of equipment, you're going to have some version of that. So that's a real good question, and I hope that one helped. So if we move on, get a lot of questions about, which speaker should I buy? I do a comparison video. So in this case, I've got Paul who chimed in on a very popular topic, which is better, the JBL Eon 612 or, in this case, the Alto 312. And like I say in the video, they're both excellent products. A lot of people, for the value, go out and buy the Alto. Doesn't say that it's better than the JBL, it's just better value than the JBL. JBL offers more features on it. But if you can tame the beast of an Alto TS3 series speaker, which basically means you really want to be comfortable with the mixer or controller that you're using so you can maximize the speaker without causing damage. Because what makes that Alto speaker really good is also, like I've said in many videos, what makes it bad. It's got a ton of power. So you really need to control the preamp levels on it. So learn how to use a lot of, dynamic unity settings on your mixer so you can monitor that and control that. But if you can, I mean, that's always big value to get one of those speakers. That being said, if you get a JBL when they're on sale, you're getting a whole bunch of extra toys that you may like. So that's a choice you got to make on that. So let's go on from there. And again, people ask, compare it against the Mackie. So same thing, Alto, Mackie, JBL, a lot of those brands are Coke and Pepsi options. They all have slightly different sounds to them because their sound engineers determine what they think is best. They're all playing in the same market, so they really want your business. So they do tweak it, some different features on it, that sort of thing. So you have to ask yourself how many people you want in a room versus how much power you're going to need, that sort of thing. So I know this doesn't, say which one to buy because, of course, everybody's needs are a little different. If we were all the same, well, there'd be no reason for Pepsi, there'd just be Coke. So there we go. Move down the list a little bit here. All right, so here we are. We've got ourselves a mixer in front of us. Amazing how these things just magically appear. So the question is from Sibon, and I'm assuming that's how it's pronounced because it does look a little French to me. But the question is, he's basically using a Live802, sorry, his mixer itself. Yeah, it is. It's a Live802. That's what it says right here. 802 mixer, and he's trying to be able to cue in his USB and a backtrack, I guess, is what he's trying to do. But he can't monitor his current when he's singing or talking at the same time. Now, these things happen, and you're absolutely right. When you start bringing in two at a time, you could change the way you've wired it up a bit. I know there's alternatives to doing that, so I think you're doing it the right way. But you're right, if you're trying to bring in two things at the same time and monitor what's going on, that tends to be hard. So what I probably do is try and move the USB onto one of the main channels on the actual unit. So yes, I probably use, to keep it simple, a 3.5 off of your actual computer and bring that into the line inputs. I probably, if you can't find a 3.5 to dual 1/4 inch unbalanced, you'll need the RCA adapters to do that. But that's one way of doing it. An audio interface, you know, a reasonably priced audio interface might be another way to do it. It also makes a comment about hearing a humming or buzzing sound. That tends to be either when we're trying to plug balanced connections through an unbalanced source, that'll carry noise into it, or USB. Sometimes we have that plugged into our computer or laptop, and we've got a common ground that's not happy to be there, and that's pulling that noise into the board. And then, of course, we hear it afterwards. So there are options. Fortunately, I don't think you're doing a lot wrong. There are lots of different combinations. I probably just find a more workable solution for that problem. But I don't think you're doing anything wrong. I would check the cables to make sure that you got the right balanced or unbalanced cables to make sure we have no problems there. Try unplugging your computer and seeing if the buzzing's there. Plug the cable in first, see if you still hear it or not, then plug in the laptop. If the problem only shows up when you plug the laptop in after you've actually plugged in the cable, then that's telling you that you've got a grounding issue going on there. Try and find a USB cable with a ferrite on it. That's that little round casing on the actual USB cable. Sometimes that helps. So there you go. All set for that one. All right, so the next question is from Subsonic, and it has to do with, and the question is, why is the 1/4 inch input quieter than the XLR input when, and it's missing here, but I'm going too soon, it has to do with microphones. Microphones, unlike regular line inputs, well, the only power they get are the power that you give them. So it's not the mixer just, it's also the microphone. So the only amount of power, the current that flows through this wire is the current you give it when you talk into the microphone. So that's real important. So the mixers have markings. One will say line and one will say mic on it. So if you look at, in your case, you were looking at the PMX840 and the 802 from Pyle, that's their powered mixer. You'll notice that on the microphone input, that's the XLR plug, that it is labeled as mic, and then the 1/4 inch below it is labeled as line. Now, if you're using a microphone currently on a speaker, or a microphone that came with a speaker, those microphones tend to have a 1/4 inch cable because the back of the actual speaker usually has mic inputs as both XLR and 1/4 inch, one gain volume control. And so that's been working perfectly fine. But when you take that cable now and bring it to your amplifier, the amplifier itself is under the impression, especially when it's labeled mic versus line, so mic on the XLR, line on the 1/4 inch, that you're plugging your microphones always with an XLR cable. So that's very important. So if this is the only cable you've got, you're probably best off to go out there and just get yourself an XLR cable, so this way you can plug it in properly into the mixer. And that's because, of course, without getting into too much science or exact engineering, the mic input sensor up here is about 3 to 4 times more sensitive than the line input, because the line input is usually meant for something that has, well, power behind it, like your tablet, your phone, your computer, anything at all, any equipment you have, be it a keyboard. So those type of things are going to be happy on the 1/4 inch, and everything microphones are going to be happy on the XLR. So rule of thumb, if it's not a microphone, it goes into the 1/4 inch. If it's a microphone, it always goes into the XLR, based on the type mixer you're looking at and the most popular mixers that are out there. There are exceptions. New question. All right, this is from Bobby, and the question is, how to work the FX on the actual PROFX8. Well, actually, they asked on the 16, but we're going to use the 8 as a reference point. Pretty much having issues on being able to dial it in, yes, because there is an FX option, 0 to 16, or sorry, 1 to 16 on the unit, and how do we get that out there? So I did cover it in the video, but there's so many features on these mixers that it is a good piece to note. You basically need to choose the effects you want. Then underneath there, you basically have to choose on the actual units. These are going to be all the green buttons on a Mackie. So I'm going to just turn it towards me. No, my apologies. These are going to be all the yellow buttons. So many colors to choose from. If I plug a mic in channel 1, I'm going to have to come down to the yellow button, which says FX. Turn that up to at least unity, which would be halfway up. And then I'm going to have to come over and choose my FX master and turn that up to at least unity. Then, yes, there's 3 things I have to do. Then I have to come over here and go to my FX return and bring that up to unity. Now, once I've done that and they're all at unity, that means as I turn up the master volume, the main volume at the end, it'll be 100% proportionate with the effects. So that'll get you. And if you want to hear the effects even more, come up to here where it says FX master and turn that up even louder. Now it's going to be even louder. But of course, you're going to want to at least have it at unity or less. If you want more effects on any one particular microphone or less effects, that's why each channel has a yellow knob, so you can turn that channel up or down. So, and that's how you get the effects to work on a Mackie mixer. So, the smallest effects on 1, the biggest effect is on 16. So, that covers everything for that one. So, I think we're good. We can move on from there. And here we go. We got a question from DJ Ricky. And this is in reference to the last video I did, which was the Uber PA from Alto. Voila. So now we have the Uber PA right here, just like that. Now his question, it's a pretty straightforward question. The downside to the design, where the control buttons should be on the backside. Now he made me think about this, and I go, you know what, that's not a bad idea. But then I thought about why the buttons were on the front side, because this doesn't actually have a pole stand on it or anything like that. So the intention with this is that you're going to be playing this either on a table or down on the floor beside you, usually about a foot or 2 behind you. So you're probably leaning over and controlling it from the front because you'll be standing in front of it or beside it. So I think the intention for having the knobs on the front was really for that one there. So that's how this gets used quite often, right? So I'm going to have to disagree. I don't think they should be on the back. I think the front is probably a better idea for how this particular speaker is meant to be used. If it was a big PA system, for sure I would agree the buttons should be in the back. But for something you're going to pick up and put on the floor right next to you, probably the buttons in the front work out pretty good. You do have to remember though, because a good point, if the buttons were in the back, you wouldn't have to worry about feedback as much as if the buttons are in the front. So do remember, don't turn up your volume like crazy until you've got the microphone far away. All right, so I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Now, remember, a couple of important things. These are me answering your questions. So if you got questions, make sure to leave comments on the videos you're watching. Leave us a thumbs up if you like the video, and subscribe. That's what that big, subliminal message behind me is doing all the time. And hit the bell button if you like that. You'll see more stuff. That's what the bell button does. So you'll get to see more videos when they come up. You don't have to search for them. It'll just say, hey, by the way, there's a new video from Expert Island. So there you go. So we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.